When we opened the door, it was like King Tut's tomb. Nothing had been disturbed. The cobwebs and the spiders, and there was a hole where some birds had got in, and the feathers, but all of the seats were just the way the military had left it when they dropped the airplane off in the desert. And I remember pulling open the ashtrays and seeing Camel cigarettes still in the ashtrays, and the airplane still had oxygen, the bottles still had oxygen in them, and the engines still had oil in them. And of course, in those years, when they mothballed an airplane, they took a preservative called Spraylet. It's a plastic spray that they sprayed over the airplane to make a cocoon to preserve the airplane. So the airplane basically had no corrosion and no rust after 27 years in the desert because of the dry weather.
We hadn't yet named the Albatross Miss Splash when Don first started working on it and restoring it. And they didn't know whether the engines would run, and they started working on it, and they worked on it for several months, and the engines had to have all new hoses and all new small parts, but they did run. So the plan was that once they got it airworthy, they would remove it from the edge of Davis-Monthan, because Davis-Monthan wants to be rid of those things. So the very first day that he and a co-pilot were going to fly it off of Davis-Monthan, they had a little bad luck. And the bad luck was that after they took off, and they weren't very high as far as altitude, one of the engines came apart. It didn't just burp, it came apart. And so Don had to do a mayday, which means he had to do an emergency landing into Tucson International, which, thank God, was just down the road a little ways. They had enough altitude to make it there. So that meant we had one blown up engine, and after he called that day, because I wasn't there the day they test flew it, he called me in Virginia and said, we've had some bad luck, and we're going to have to build up a new engine. And I said, if you think I'm getting in that airplane with one new engine and one old engine, you're wrong. So you'd better build up two. So that's ultimately what happened. I think probably Miss Splash is an angel of mercy for more than the group of pilots that were saved. She's been an angel of mercy for my husband, because it has kept him in the captain role, for one thing. It has kept him among all of those wonderful aviators that he's worked with, flown with, loved, told stories with, partied with. They're still his circle of friends. And I can understand why a man like Captain Don wouldn't want to give that part of his life up. So Miss Splash has been the angel of mercy for his life.
So I retired from the airline, and I'll have to admit, one day I'm a captain on the North Atlantic with 4 stripes, and the next day I'm nothing. I guess it's like the drill sergeant gets out of the Marine Corps. Who's he going to drill now? Well, anyway, I knew I had to keep busy, had to keep dreaming about something. And of course, the Albatross was Don's dream. And I think the truth of it is, it's Diane's dream too, or I never could have done it by myself.